Hello everyone, my name is Max Moralia. Throughout this quarter of Cultures and Ideas, Literatures of the World, I have witnessed a lot of different topics. However, the topic I found most interesting was the understanding of justice. In particular, the two texts Mignorino by Clarice Lispector and Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad provided two very unique understandings of justice that gave an even greater insight into the relationship that social class and understanding of justice have. Mignorino is a short essay written by Clarice Lispector in 1969. It was written in response to the death of a criminal who was beloved by the slum of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Lispector herself is from this area and is thus able to empathize with the people of the slum and is hurt by the death of this Robin Hood type of figure. However, the death of the criminal is only the spark atop an existing outrage towards the history of oppression put forth by European elitist policy during the days of colonization. Heart of Darkness is a novella written by Joseph Conrad in 1899. It details a narrator's trip down the Congolese River during the days of colonization and exposes the horror of it. This is because Conrad himself took a trip down the Congolese River and was able to witness the tragedy of imperialism. Also, since Conrad was in the French Merchant Navy for almost 20 years, he was able to see the downfalls of imperialism all around the world, not just Africa. Therefore, from these backgrounds we can see how they might have shaped each text's argument and understanding on justice. In Mignorino, we see Lispector's empathy for the oppressed as the guiding force of the essay. We can see her ability to understand the plight of the oppressed and identifies them as the victims when they tend to be vilified by the rest of the social structure. For instance, this quote shows her ability to understand the true cause of the crimes that the thug, Mignorino, committed. In Heart of Darkness, we see Conrad's focus on individual exploration of thought. He spent his life traveling the open seas with an outrageous amount of time to think to himself, especially considering how much he had to consider. He got to see the entire world, and with it, got to see the demise of so many native cultures as European influence dominated. Thus, through this background, ethics and individualism took the forefront as significant components of the work. Because Lispector was able to empathize and understand the oppressed so well, and witness the systematic oppression of the poor of Brazil, her idea of justice specifically catered to this. She advocates for a restorative system of justice that seeks to understand the reasons behind the crime. She wants people to be lifted up and out of the situations that create violence and hurt, instead of the cycle being on with no hope for a better future. Through her idea, the impoverished would be granted a helping hand that could reverse their fortune and dispel the violence through an organic form. Because Conrad is so focused on individual exploration of thought, his idea of justice depends on this feature. He advocates for individual change, for one by one people to explore what they know to be right and wrong, and through this process, society will achieve its most universally righteous solution. Conrad thinks that individualism and small change leads to large progress. This is much different than Lispector's. However, they both could possibly lead to one another, despite the separate focuses. Through learning about these past understandings of justice, and seeing how social class and background played so heavily into their formings, we can learn a lot about modern-day justice issues. Today's world is far from peaceful or harmonious, but if we learn from this, the world can become much closer. If people are to attempt to understand where a person is coming from, and the background that contributed to their perspective, then arguments and disagreements would be much less hostile and staunch. By eliminating some of the ignorance of the plights of all different sides of an issue, debates become much more like conversations. Thus, as Lispector implored herself, we need to all seek to understand.